if you're someone who has coded their brain, has conditioned their brain to have a lot of fear, you're going to be efficient at releasing the chemicals that give you the experience of fear. All it is the body's trying to prepare you for danger. It's trying to prepare you that you might get attacked, you might run, because that's signals that your brain's receiving. Okay? But when we're focusing on one thing, like our breath, like we're doing now, the brain can't distract itself with all these negative thoughts, these potential dangers. Our brain are excellent at going down these rabbit holes of scary stories. And we need to get control of that. So that's like, you have a leak. You need to turn off the faucet. And so those thoughts are the faucet that's running. We need to stop it. And we stop it by thinking on one thing. So right now we're going to focus on your breath. So bringing it up from your belly button. Let it linger in transition. And then back down. And just notice how you're feeling. Do you have anxiety, stress? How are you coded? You're really starting to get an understanding of how you're coded. There might be things that you need to get to, like a checklist. They'll still be there when we're done. Only a few more minutes, another 15 minutes and we're going to be done. And those things you can pick right back up. The one thing I want you to think about is that worry often comes from things in the future. I'm scared about how this might go. I'm scared what someone will think about me. And that produces a sensation of fear. I get those chemicals flooding through my bodies and I get the experience of fear. But it's not actually happening now, it's in the future. So it doesn't actually exist. So it's perceived danger that I'm creating. And I can turn that off at any time by focusing on my breath and breathing easy. Now, if there's something in the future, there's a difference between worrying about it and strategizing over it. The brain is excellent for strategizing. You can figure out solutions and run through different scenarios until you come up with the best one that you want to try out. That's great. That's completely different from worrying about something, from stressing about it. There's no benefit in stressing about it. All it does is produce these scary chemicals in our body. And often to the point where it takes over us and we're out of control of it. So we're bringing our focus to your breathing as you guys are doing now. And just getting a sensation of where you're at. You don't have to do anything about it. Just feel what chemicals are flooding through your body. What hormones, what neurotransmitters. There's very powerful ones. Norepinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol. They're amazing because if we're really in danger, we want those in our body. But when we're not, we don't need to run that program, to run that loop. Because if we run it, the more we run it, the more it conditions our brain to be more efficient at releasing those powerful chemicals, which means we're in a state of stress more often. And then we try and disarm that stress to comfort ourselves with things like food or watching TV or going out with our friends. And we'll talk about that in the days to come. We're going to talk specifically about those relationships to things that actually control our lives, the addiction to things that make us feel good, that gratify us. So what we're going to do now is focusing on your breath, breathing from the belly button up to the chest and back down. And you're going to imagine that there's this energy from your belly button, and you're bringing it up to your chest, and it's sort of wiping out that feeling. And it's controlling all these emotions. And you're just moving it very slowly up and down, lingering in the transitions from inhale to exhale, exhale to inhale. If you want, you can bring it up to the top of your head and then back down. But you're calming your energy, you're taking control of it. Our bodies are made up of 57 trillion cells. In each cell, there's at least 2 molecules. In those molecules there are a trillion atoms. Those atoms have a nucleus and an electron vibrating around it. So these buzzing electrons, these vibrations. And as we get affected by these chemicals, it throws this vibration off. And there's things that we know that can affect it, like sound, like breathing, like focusing on one thing. And so that's what we're doing now. We're just bringing that calming experience. We're letting our brain know everything's safe. We're not in danger right now. I don't need those strong chemicals. Just keep breathing. Belly button to the chest. Or if you want to go low all the way to the crown of your head, try that. You're going to notice that your brain's going to want to dive off. And this is that identity that I was talking about. It wants to exist. An interesting thought is that if you're focused on one thing like breathing and you're not thinking, does your identity exist? It can come back online in a fraction of a second, but in that moment, does it exist? Does it have control of you? We're actually going to talk specifically about that in a couple of days. I hope you're all continuing your breathing, eyes closed, eyeballs relaxed. Remember, you're in control. Don't let the thoughts distract you. Just hyper-focus on that breathing. Like I said, essentially, there's non-thought. You're not thinking. So you can't create scenarios of fear. We're in our homes or wherever you are right now, and you're probably safe. So you've got to take control of your physiology until that calm experience comes over. So bring the energy all the way from the belly button up to the crown of the head and back down. And you can practice this throughout the day, anytime. Even when you're engaging with someone. We're very poor communicators because as we speak, we are interpreting what the people are saying through our filters of our identity, of our belief. And then that's, depending on how I interpret that, it gives me a sensation. So right now, I'm by myself, I'm calm, I'm in control of my physiology. So if I'm in a conversation with someone, I can go to this breathing. And as I'm doing that, as I'm focused on my breathing, I'm actually listening better because I'm not having that conversation in my head. People who haven't practiced this will have trouble. They're being distracted. Their thoughts will take them away. You've got to realize you are in control. We've let these thoughts run our lives. and these emotions are in our lives, but we can take back control. And we'll talk more about how this chemistry affects us and affects our whole society and the planet as a whole. Because imagine if people start to get control of their physiology. Imagine what that would do to the world. We're in a very unique time right now. We're all experiences together. We can come out of this better off if we take on these practices. If we take control of our physiology and don't let this animal coding run our lives anymore. We don't need it. We live in a very safe place. We need to transcend this coding. And this is the step in that practice. Each day I'm going to give you another tool to start to get control over this. And imagine if you had control, so you could be in any situation and you could get this calm, you could get this focus. So you weren't run by the stress of potential danger. Keep focusing on your breath. Imagine if people weren't reacting emotionally to each other. Imagine if people didn't need other people to validate them. They could then just be compassionate to people. And that would shift the balance of the world. We're all going around in a scarcity mindset. I need these things. And that's a coding. That's sending a signal. I need these things because we're coded for scarcity and danger. It's not true. We live in abundance. You know, even now where some of the shelves are getting unstocked, there's more food coming. You know, I'm fasting right now. I haven't eaten for 3 days. We can easily last. I've got enough fat to last me weeks. But I'm being pulled off my center because of these chemical codings, these biogenic traits that are in my DNA. So we're going to learn in these next 15 days how to master this, how to take control over this. And then you'll have so much ability. You'll be able to attain your goals much easier. Because if you imagine what's taking you away from your goal, say I want to be fit, I want to be lean, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, but my behaviors are taking me away from that. I'm eating too much maybe, I'm eating the wrong foods. It's not because I'm a bad person. It's because that gives me a really good sensation because food was scarce. And so that gives me a good sensation. So now I'm using that good sensation to mask this negative sensation that's in me. So all I have to do is get calm, and then I can let go. I don't need all these things that I'm grasping to, that I'm clutching to. Okay. You can open your eyes and come back. Just keep breathing gently. You can do this meditation with your eyes open as well. It's just focus on one thing. There's one that I love to do where I just get an object. It can be a water bottle, a pen, anything. And you just put it in front of you and you look at it for 1 minute. And you just stare at it. You don't think. You just look at the pen for 1 minute. And this is going to start training the brain to not be engaging, to not be the tour guide telling you about the environment, telling you about your life. It'll start that practice. And the more you can do that, the more you'll bring this calm and you'll start to get control of your physiology. Because we don't need to have those experiences, those powerful chemicals. If I'm walking down a dark alley, yeah, I want them. I want them because I might be attacked. It's a very real danger. That's when I want that feeling, that alertness. But I don't want it always. So this is a really good time when we are in solitude. We're going to shift that word to solitude instead of isolated. When we're in solitude, we're actually taking control of our physiology. And we're staying calm, we're getting control of it. Okay? So remember that.